I am very grateful that I got to do that for my community, but also do that for myself. I mean, because when I was watching Miss USA or the Miss Universe, I've always hoped to see a trans person on that stage.
I wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on pretty privilege and being passable?
Oh, love this question. I wish we get to talk about this a lot more.
Yes.
Um, I think there's many benefits to being pretty privileged or having that passing privilege. For me myself, I know that if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be as far in my career. When I went to the competition and submit my application, they were like, "No, we recognize that you are a female, even though your legal identification says that you're female. We still need proof. So we need a letter from your doctor saying that you've had your surgeries. Basically, everything that my legal document was denied, and things that I went to court for, things that I like literally prepared for 2 years or so. My doctor's letters, my court orders, all those were denied for the sake of they wanted me to be examined, basically. And
Nikki. Welcome, Kataluna. How are you?
hello, beautiful. How are you? I'm doing great.
Awesome. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. And before we get started, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here today. We know you have a busy schedule. So thank you just for being here and being with us today. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Before we get started, I want the ice and play a little game. But first, I want to ask you, with Halloween and it being fall season, what's your favorite fall or scary movie you like to watch?
Oh, that's a good question. I usually love scary movies, but I can never pick because especially if it's like if I can't watch it at nighttime. It has to be in the daytime. So I can't really pick a
Yes.
movie because all of them are really good. But I always tend to lean on Disney. I don't care what Halloween, which season it is. I always love the classic Disney Halloween movies, which is what are the other ones? Which is not really horror, but it's still Halloween. So
Yes,
Halloween Town.
absolutely.
There you go.
Yes, it's Switches is one of my favorites. I love that. That's a
Yeah.
classic. Will you be dressing up for Oscars?
Of course. I mean, remember the Mean Girls quote, Halloween is the time of the year where every girl is able to.
Yes,
That is
yes.
me. I am living my Mean Girls fantasy every year on Halloween.
I love it. Absolutely. This is like the one night where you can be whoever you want to be, dress up and go out there
Exactly.
and live your best
No
life.
clothes.
Okay. Especially in LA
I
as
don't
it
gotta
is,
be a
it's
queen on
always
Halloween
hot.
Day.
Yes, yes. Awesome. Well, next I want to dive into a little game. It's called This or That. You let me know which one you prefer, okay?
Okay.
All right. Louis Vuitton or Prada?
Louis Vuitton.
I know that's right. Dubai or Greece?
Say that one more time.
Dubai or Greece?
Oh, Dubai.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mercedes Benz or BMW?
As long as it works, I'm here for it. As long as it gets me to wherever I need to go. I don't know anything about cars, so
Yes. How about a fancy restaurant or a fast food truck?
fast food truck.
Yeah, especially like And like the West Coast with the tacos, the taco stands, it'd be really
Mhm.
good.
Tacos with the Cheetos, make into a burrito.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Party host or party guest?
Uh, Party host?
Yes, yes. I can agree with that too. Like be life of the party, have I come over, girls' night.
Mhm.
Yes. Night out or early bird?
Night out, for sure. I'm a Vegas girl.
Hey, that's nice. Well, let's go ahead and dive into some questions. In 2021, you were three as the first trans woman to win a state title and compete in Miss USA. How did that feel? Walk us through it.
Oh, okay, so 2021, that's about 3 years ago. It was one of the most transformative moments in my life. I am very grateful that I got to do that for my community, but also do that for myself. I mean, because when I was watching Miss USA or the Miss Universe, I've always hoped to see a trans person on that stage. Similar to the Victoria's Secret show, I've always wanted to see someone who's just like me, who's a trans person who represented the idea of not being necessarily tied to a gender or specific gender roles. And so when I did that for Miss USA, I mean, I didn't know that I was going to end up being the person that I wanted to see. So it was a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. There was many moments where I was um, kind of told to not do it. Uh, there was also moments where I was discouraged, experienced discrimination while competing. Uh, other than that, I'm so happy with the overall experience, and I'm thankful that I was able to do that for the community.
Absolutely. And I know that you talked about discrimination while competing. Can you briefly talk about the discrimination that you faced while competing in pageant?
Sure. So I started competing in trans pageantry, and then let's say 5 competitions after, I ended up going to oh, maybe I should say the name. Miss, I competed in one state where I used to live. And at that time, trans people have been allowed to compete. So the law has been changed for about a decade now. And at that time, I was eligible to compete. And when I went to the competition and submit my application, they were like, no, we recognize that you are a female, even though your legal identification says that you're female. We still need proof. So we need a letter from your doctor saying that you've had your surgeries. Basically, everything that my legal document was denied, and things that I went to court for, things that I like literally prepared for 2 years or so. My doctor's letters, my court orders, all those were denied for the sake of they wanted me to be examined basically, and to show proofs that I am female. And then basically in the competition, they had roommates, and I was the only one who wasn't given a roommate. So the entire time I was kind of just pushed to the side and othered. It was a horrible experience. I wish no one would ever experience. And but that experience ultimately pushed me to moving to a different state, Nevada, and then representing, going all in, and advocating for myself and advocating for the community. I think so. I was really excited. Well, actually, I had mixed emotions. One, because for the most part of my life, I moved to the US when I was 10. And so I had part of my life was in the Philippines. And so the childhood friends that I've had. But I remember the first day that I arrived in the US, I just remember a squirrel, because we don't have squirrels in the Philippines. So the first, it's like, remember up, the squirrel. So that was my
Yes,
experience. So, and it was fall time, so it was really nice to see the weather changed, the trees changing from green to orange, and acorns and all that stuff, all that good stuff, all the autumn, fall good stuff. So it was definitely a culture shock, in many ways, the good ways, to having to learn to speak a new language, and the sad part to going to school and then kids making fun of you for being your own snack or foods that aren't really recognized as, I guess, American. But then you learn to enjoy your own culture, to celebrate your own culture afterwards. But in terms of gender identity, I didn't really think I was. No, I knew I was different. I didn't necessarily know the verbiage to it, and at that time, I don't think trans was really being discussed, or the verbiage of the vocabulary of trans didn't necessarily exist. And so I just kind of followed what made me happy. And freshman year was when I remember opposite day, Spirit Week. Opposite day was my life calling. Opposite day after opposite day, girl, I just never went back. I felt
Yes.
beautiful. I felt really at peace. And for once in my life, I felt confident. And so I just never,
Mm.
I just kept going. It's been opposite day since then. So
I love that. I love that. Especially like find that self love and inner peace with yourself is everything, you know? Absolutely.
Right. So for the next question I was going to dive into, I wanted to ask, when you first began competing in pageants, who were your influences and what motivated you?
who are my inspos? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
My ins. Oh, great question. So I knew that the drag world always had trans people competing, and or trans drag pageantry. I just was never exposed to that. So I'd say the person that inspired me was one of the candidates from the Miss Universe Philippines, and her story was basically she was training in rice fields, and there was moments where she barely had food to eat, and they had to eat bugs and stuff. So it was a really the opposite idea of what pageantry was, and I think that's what made me fall in love with pageantry. In fact, there was a moment where uh, I I didn't believe in pageantry. I mean, I've objectified and I even sometimes sexualized, not necessarily sexualized, but objectified. Um, I shared the same view with a lot of viewers, where I
Mhm.
think with pageantry, when you're just watching it in the lens of a viewer, oftentimes you think, oh, we're just objectifying or sexualizing women. But then when we actually listen to what they're saying and listen to what they've gone through, um, then you really feel the empowerment of the purpose of pageantry. And that's what made me fall in love and made me want to dive into pageantry. And I knew that I had that story to share, and I wanted to share that to the entire world.
I love that. That's beautiful. And you've been killing the game. You've been slaying it,
Thank you.
honestly. I know that you recently competed in the Miss International Queen competition in Thailand. How was that experience?
I That was actually my second time competing. So I competed in 2017 or 18, I believe, and then I went back half a decade later.
Yes.
Um, I This experience has been one of the most fun for me because I was extremely prepared. I've had all the things that I needed to do, and I wanted to present myself as Cataluna. And I'm thankful that I got to share that to the entire world. I mean, people got to see um, me back on stage after Miss USA and my growth, my confidence, how I wanted to express myself through fashion. And I really wanted to share my story of abuse that I went through and the importance of mental health for me. Um, I think when I was competing at Miss USA, I was always focused on representing the LGBTQ plus community, the trans community, being a person of color. But this time, I wanted to go on the Miss International Queen pageant because one, everyone is from the
Right.
community, everyone is trans, but I wanted to focus on something that's really important, especially for people of minority, people of color, and that's mental health. And that's
Yes.
something that we don't often get, or we don't have enough resources, and that's something that I think the entire world needs to talk about as the more that we progress and the more that things are happening in life.
Absolutely. And I saw a video you were performing during your pageant and you killed it. We shared it on our platform at Gay Magazine and you was doing your dance and you were just killing it, slaying it. I was going to ask you, how was rehearsal? How was that process? Like getting the choreography together and everything.
Thank you. I know that you guys posted the video, Ashley, so thank you for doing that. I had 2 days. I had literally 2 days when I arrived in Thailand. The first day I had rehearsals for 2 hours, and then the next day was my last rehearsals, and that was also for I think 4 hours just to clean
Oh
it
my
all up.
Yes,
And it was challenging because I mean, I don't know anyone who gets 6 hours to rehearse and then have to perform it a week later, and hopefully
yeah,
that you still remember everything. But for me, I wanted to, my talent, I wanted to represent the US, and I wanted to bring the Vogue ballroom scene, which is
yes,
very important, I think, not just because in terms of culture, but also the message that it represents, being
mhm,
the freedom to express yourself, and the purpose of it kind of being against racism, just to love yourself. And
right,
there's so many layers to it. And so I wanted people to know that I am that kind of person who's not afraid to stand up for other people,
yeah,
to be free to express myself, to not be limited by my gender. Um, and to be everything, and to just slay, and I think that's part of the US culture too, to just be free to
that
express yourself.
you slay the stage, especially you picked the perfect song to like perfect
Thank you.
Lord. Yes. I know that you briefly touched on this. I wanted to ask for anyone that is currently facing bullying, abuse, mental health, or discrimination, what advice would you give to them? And do you have any resources that may guide them?
Sure, I think my advice to anyone who's being bullied or who's just really having a hard time is to feel your emotions,
Yeah,
to know that it's okay to not be okay, to understand that it hurts when you're being bullied, and to also ask for help, to not be afraid to reach out to other people, to even call it out. You
right.
deserve that. You deserve to fight for yourself and to protect yourself and your peace. I think that's one of the things when I was competing in Thailand, one of the things that I was taught by my mentors and by my team was to always protect my peace.
Yes.
um, so my advice is for anyone to always protect your peace. Prioritize you before you think about other things.
Mhm.
Prioritize what makes you happy, what makes you feel safe, what makes you feel, what brings you joy. And for
Right.
me, the things that I would do, I have my 3 PFW method, which
Okay.
is 3 things out loud. I usually have a note somewhere in my mirror of just 3 things that you're proud of, 3 things that you forgive yourself, and 3 things that you will work on. And I
Yes.
try to do this practice daily and say it out loud. What are 3 things I am proud of today, and 3 things I am forgiving myself for today, and 3 things I am going to work on today. And that just gives you affirmations and allows you to be present and to be vulnerable. I think we're often, especially in the social media world right now, we don't get the chance to be vulnerable and to connect with people and to remind ourselves that
Yeah.
we don't have to be perfect, and we don't have to be okay every day, and that I might be experiencing something that you might be experiencing, or that we're all experiencing some trauma. And sometimes having that moment to share those moments or to just connect with someone could really
Yeah.
change someone's life or your life.
I love that. That is beautiful. And I can totally
Thank you.
agree. And I know for myself, like I try to journal whenever I'm feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Journaling
yeah,
is great.
I'm gonna take your tips and do that with me every day, every morning, what I'm thankful for and what I'm
Yeah.
forgiving myself for as well. Because no one is perfect. So it's about just
And the
giving
forgiving part too. Sometimes you just end up crying. You're just in the
I
facing
know.
yourself in the mirror. You're just looking at yourself, and then you cry, which is
Yes,
good because sometimes
it's
you just need a
good.
good cry.
Yes, and it is a stress reliever too, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. Awesome. For my next question, I wanted to ask from attending the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising to now founding your own fashion line, Catalina Couture, what does your clothing line mean to you? And to any inspiring trans designers, what advice would you give to them?
So my fashion line, I started my business because when I started competing in pageantry, I couldn't afford my own gowns. I also couldn't find something that fit my body type. Being trans, I know that my body is very different compared to a lot of people. Um, Different in a way that's unique. And also being a model, I know that my body is unique as itself. And so there were many moments where I would be in a fashion show and they would say, no, you can't wear any of those, or I have to switch you out because it doesn't look good on you, it doesn't fit your body. And those moments were tough for me, especially because I was still growing at this time. I was around 19 or 20. And so my brain was still developing and I was still trying to find my confidence. And so I made my own business. And I was like, you know what? If you're not going to dress me, if you don't want to dress me, if you don't like my body, if you don't like the way I look, I will show up in a way that you would want to buy me or to be
Yeah,
me, you know? And so I ended up designing for my own stuff. So Cataluna Couture and the way that I design, my design elements have always been about freedom, celebration of body, your skin tone. I've seen so many people wearing nude garments, especially for our brown or black brothers and sisters. We don't often get that specific nude. And for me, I emphasize that they need to wear the same nude in their skin tone, you know? Um, and so I really am the kind of designer who pay attention to those tiny details. I'm not trying to design for me, but I'm trying to design for, let me rephrase that. I'm not trying to design for the style or for the current trend, but I'm trying to design for the person who's going to love it and who's going to, my goal is to elevate them and not necessarily have something for them.
I love that. I love that. And I saw your designs. They are beautiful. I was like, oh my
Thank
goodness.
you.
It's like you are a superwoman because you be killing it from everything. Because I was like, what makes you like get your designs? What's your thought process of that?
Really my life experience.
Yeah,
When I competed at Miss USA, you know, I was always shamed about being a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and there was no representation for the trans
mhm,
community at that time. I think, and we can always have more representation in media for the
yeah,
LGBTQ plus community. And so I said, I'm going to wear a rainbow gown. I'm not going to wear just one color. I'm going to wear every color. I'm going to
yeah,
tell them who I am. As soon as I get on that stage, they know who I am.
yeah,
And then for Miss International Queen, my final gown was kind of has the colors of a galaxy, and I wanted to represent how the moon is strongest. The moon, Luna, which is kind
yeah,
of like my name, the moon being strongest when it is filled with darkness. You know how bright it is. It's
yeah.
more bright when you're surrounded with darkness. It's similar to my life story. If I were to, if I ran away from my darkness and my dark moments in life, I wouldn't be so bright.
I love that. That's beautiful. And I saw when you wore your rainbow gown, it was absolutely stunning.
Thank you, thank you,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. Your victories uplifts and inspires the transgender community and the world. In today's society, do you feel that gender expression is more accepted? And how we can come together in the world to have better equality for everyone?
I think gender expression and gender equality, I think we are in a better place. I think it could also still get better, and it will get better. We have people who are like myself, like you as well,
Yes.
Gay magazine, who are completely are always advocating for people to express themselves and uh, to not be limited and tied into a specific gender role or a specific gender identity. I think what we need to do is really focus on the human aspect. I mean, we all have, you know, policies and things that we could all work on, laws to make sure that everyone is able to be free or to just live their basic human rights. But
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, we also have to recognize that we're all just human. And I think if we take apart or if we set aside our differences, set aside our traumas or our daily lives, the things that we go through, at the end of the day, we all just want to be happy and we all just want to live, to have a
Exactly.
smile on our face, to go to bed and wake up the next day with a smile on our face and to just be content in life.
Yeah.
And I think if we focus on that and not necessarily what society is expective of us, our society, how society expects our gender roles to be, and just focus on the human side. I think that's one way that we could all kind of help each other and live a life where we could just all be free.
Absolutely. And I agree with that. Like, I feel like that will make the world a better place if everyone should just be happy and love each other and just love everyone for who they are unconditionally, you know?
Yeah, and it doesn't cost anything.
And it's absolutely free. Okay. It's absolutely free. Yes. How's the dating life as a trans woman?
How's my daily life as a trans woman? It's 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 happening.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Yes.
It's tough because I think for me, I have to navigate where, as someone who works in media or someone who has a media presence, I think they have to be very comfortable and very courageous enough
Yeah.
to be able to dive into my world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also, I know that just dating a trans person, I know is already tough in terms of um, society's expectations or society's pressure.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it, but there's so many layers to this. I mean, because to this day, people think that if you're a trans woman or if you're a cis guy, I would consider myself as a straight um, trans woman, and so I would only date uh, straight guys. And
Mhm.
so whenever they think that a straight guy would be with a trans woman, oftentimes it's it's a gay couple or it's a gay relationship when it's not.
Right.
And that's something that I think there's so much pressure when it comes to guys
Yeah.
and that aspect of, and sometimes I think about their mental health. And so
Mm-hmm.
I try not to push them to be so supportive or to just
Yeah.
have take their time on it. But also at the same time, I got to prioritize my needs, so
Exactly.
it's a struggle.
I completely agree. As a trans woman, dating sometimes can be very crazy. You gotta put your safety first and really just find the right guy who loves you unconditionally and willing to rock with you, because it is a lot. One day down the line, like in the future, do you plan to like have kids, marry? Like, do you aspire to have that one day?
I do want to get married. And
Yes.
it's been one of my goals since I was young. I've always wanted to have three gowns. It's
I know
going to be
that's right.
Cataluna couture gowns
Yes. Mm.
with reveals and costume changes.
Yes.
I think that's just my fantasy. But at some point, I do want to get married. I think maybe
Yeah.
in 3 to 5 years, I hope to do so. I think that's one of my goals in life. Family, I don't know about starting a family. I mean, I would love to have a family, but also at the same time, if I could just be of support. I know
Mm-hmm.
my sister. My sister just gave birth, and so
Oh,
just being supportive or being a second parent to what's the word I'm looking for to my sister's baby, whatever the language is. I don't know. I forgot. Just being a support, and I think you don't necessarily have to give birth to be a parent
mm-hmm.
or to be a family. I think just being a
Yes.
support system and just loving them, regardless of where they come from, is family.
I love that. Absolutely. And congratulations to your sister. Having a baby is beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to ask, how do you disclose your identity when it comes to dating in person, online? Any tips to young trans women?
Ooh, I always disclose online. So online, if you look me up, it's just trans.
Yes.
So I can never get away of trying to hide anything from that.
Hmm.
And also on dating sites, which I am on a few. But the first sentence is, "I am a trans woman." Period.
Yes.
I don't lie about it. And I think when you lie about it, and I understand that some people, for their safety, they try to hide it. But for me, if you're going into a relationship, I think just being honest
Hmm.
before everything else is one of the things that is important, especially if you're trying to grow into something that's more special. And my advice is to, I mean, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to find someone that's going to love you? In the words of RuPaul,
Yes. Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So I think be honest with yourself.
You have to, like, for real, being having that foundation of honesty, build trust,
Yes,
and keep it going if things going right. So absolutely
a
honesty is
thousand percent.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes. I was
What
going
do
to
you do?
Oh, you mean for like dating or like when I first meet a guy?
It's hard when doing it in person. In person, I'm like, no, I don't have a phone. I don't
Yeah.
have an Instagram. I don't, and then they find me.
To be honest with you, like little short story time. This recently just happened to me. I was at an event, at a party, and this guy wanted to dance. So we're dancing, and I'm like, oh my god, do I tell him now? But he was really
Yeah.
cool, and we did exchange number. And as soon as I distanced myself, I did let him know, hey, I am a trans woman. And we're still friends to this day, but just having that
Oh, very
honesty.
nice. Love
Yeah,
that.
yes. So I completely
Love
understand.
that. See
Thank you
what
for the
happens when you're just honest.
be honest. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what do you say to trans women who are just starting their transition?
To take your time. Don't rush. Enjoy it. I mean, I wouldn't be so grateful in my life if I just jumped on and said, I'm going to do this and just, it was tough. It was, there were many moments where I felt alone, where it's like a roller coaster. You know, those moments where you like when you first started your hormones and you
Mhm.
started feeling the tissue growing,
Yes.
your skin softening, and many changes. But I think take your time so you can really be grateful at the end of the day, or like later on in the year, and just have that moment of I did it,
Yes.
and I did what I wanted to do, and I just take your time. I don't know how to explain it, but take your time.
I totally agree. Just take your time, just let it flow, and everything will come together in time when it's supposed to, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to
And
ask,
there's not a real path to transitioning to. It's
yeah,
not a destination, and it's not a like a list of things that you need to do. You transition for yourself. You transition the way that you want to, and in your own time.
mm-hmm, absolutely. I wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on pretty privilege and being passable?
Oh, love this question. I wish we get to talk about this a lot more.
Yes.
Um, I think there's many benefits to being pretty privileged or having that passing privilege. For me myself, I know that if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be as far in my career. Um, but also being knowing that I have that privilege, I
Mm-hmm.
also use that privilege to uplift people or to have that education for other people who don't understand, or
Mm-hmm.
to for those probably who are a little more close-minded. I take those moments to explain that I can talk to you. But there are people who don't necessarily look like me, but that doesn't mean that you get to treat them differently because I don't look like them.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
think when it comes to equality, yes, I am trans and I'm not going to look like every trans person and I have my privilege. But if we're
Mhm.
talking about equality, you have to treat them the way that you would treat me.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Beautiful.
Yeah, and it comes with work, um, media,
Yes.
uh, everything,
Yes. In 2024, the Human Rights Campaign reported that at least 27 transgender and gender expansive people were tragically and inhumanely taken from violent means, including gun and intimate partner violence. What are your thoughts on these statistics? Any solutions that you think that could help?
That's a tough one. Well, for me, I think I did never condone violence. And when it comes to like gun violence, for me specifically, my belief is that as a country, I don't think we should have rights to gun. If I'm understanding the question, because I couldn't hear it specifically,
Mm-hmm.
but I specifically think that we've abused the
Oh,
system, and we abuse our rights to have the right to bear weapons. I think we have been selfish. We're so prioritizing ourselves and our beliefs of protecting ourselves uh, when there are many people dying, children are dying, especially in places where they shouldn't be worrying about their safety, where they should just learn and to be themselves. Instead, um, we're focusing on the right to have guns when we should be focusing on the right for them to live.
absolutely. Absolutely. You're correct.
And this applies to not just children, but everyone, the gender diverse people, community. Uh, I don't understand why guns and violence is an issue in this country when it shouldn't be at all.
Absolutely. There definitely should be some type of gun control because it's killing all of us, you know?
Yeah.
So hopefully in the future, especially with this election, hopefully we'll get more control of that so we can be more safe.
Yeah, we
Also,
definitely do need a reform. Yes.
absolutely, yes. From community service, attending high profile events, pageants, and designing your own clothing line, what is next for you?
Ah, uh, I'm always going to lean on making sure that I am happy. I think I've always said that in every interview. I just want to be happy and be content in my life. But I think what's next is I also do drag, and I might give me 1 year, and I might end up on a show. We'll see.
Well, I'm rooting for you. You're gonna get my vote. You're gonna slay it. So I'm gonna
Thank
be
you,
on
thank
your
you,
Instagram and everything. You got me as your support.
thank you so much.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for this interview here at Gay Magazine. Before we conclude this interview, is there any encouraging words or anything you'd like to share to our followers?
Yes, Miss International Queen USA, our very first pageant, is going to be taking place here in Las Vegas, December 10th through the 12th. I am inviting everyone in the country to support trans women from all over the country, from all over the state. I mean, we have 26 contestants vying to compete for the next title and to hopefully represent our country at the next edition of the Miss International Queen pageant. It's going to be sad because I will have to let go of my crown and my title, but I am looking forward to supporting the next girl and making sure that she represents our country very well for the next pageant.
Absolutely. I love that. Beautiful.
And
Thank
you
you.
better apply next year.
I'm gonna try. Maybe I might try. I'm gonna need. You gonna need your guidance. I'm gonna hit
Yes,
you.
I got you, girl.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Cataluna, for your time and being here with us today at Gay Magazine. We're gonna continue to support you on your journey. We know you're gonna kill it. You already slaying it, and we always are here to support
Thank
you. Okay.
you.
So thank you for your time and everything.
Thank you for everything. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome.